Good morning, everyone. Well, today we'll be analyzing the relationship between Joel Parrish and Clementine Krasinski from The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This movie was directed by Michael Gondry. Even though this movie is usually seen as a romantic drama, it's really an interesting example of interpersonal communication. Over the film, we see how communication helps people build close relationships, how conflict can slowly pull apart people, and how unhealthy communication patterns can repeat if they're not talked and addressed. For our presentation, we'll be looking at Joel's and Clementine's relationship using concepts of the book, like communication climate, and confirming messages and broader conflict styles.
Our thesis is Joel and Clementine's relationship shows that healthy relationships depend on creating a positive communication climate through supportive communication. At the same time, the different conflict styles gradually create a defensive communication climate that contributes to the end of their relationship. The movie suggests that love alone isn't enough. Healthy communication is just as important. Uh, Movie overview. The movie follows Joel and Clementine after they already broken up. After their relationship ends, Clementine decides to have a medical procedure that erases every memory she has of Joel. When Joel finds out, he's devastated and decides to erase his memories of Clementine too. But during the procedure, Joel relives the relationship and realizes that even though it wasn't perfect, those memories still matter. He begins trying to hold on to them because he realizes he doesn't actually want to forget her. Joel and Clementine are almost complete opposites. Joel is quiet, shy, and has a hard time expressing his emotions. Clementine is outgoing, impulsive, and says exactly what's on her mind. At first, these differences bring them together. They each offer something the other person is missing. But but as the relationship goes on, those same differences become one of the biggest reasons they struggle to communicate with each other.
Well, our first concept is communication climate and confirming messages. Well, according to the book, communication climate is the emotional tone of a relationship. In simple words, it's an overall feeling that develops through the way people communicate with each other over time. And a positive communication climate makes people feel comfortable, respected, and supported. And a negative or defensive communication climate develops when people feel criticized, ignored, not understood, or just emotionally disconnected.
The textbook also talks about confirming and disconfirming messages. Confirming messages peop- let another person know they're valued, respected, and understood. These kinds of messages help build trust and strengthen relationships. On the other hand, disconfirming messages make someone feel ignored, dismissed, or unimportant. Even if it's unintentional, these messages can slowly damage a relationship. Adler and Proctor explained that couples who create supportive communication climates are more likely to have a satisfying, long lasting relationship.
Beginning of the movie, Joel and Clementine have a very positive communication climate, and when they meet on the train to Montauk, their conversation feels natural and easy. Even though Joel is shy, Clementine makes him feel comfortable enough to open up. Another great example is when they spend time together on the frozen Charles River. They're laughing, playing, and just enjoying being together. And during these moments, they accept each other for who they are instead of trying to change one another. These scenes show what both describe as a positive communication climate because both characters feel accepted and emotionally safe.
As the relationship continues, though, the positive climate slowly starts to disappear. One example is when Clementine tells Joel she feels like he isn't, like he doesn't really see her anymore. She wants him to talk about what's wrong, but instead he shuts down and doesn't say much. Joel probably thinks he's avoiding another argument, but Clementine's point of view, his silence feels like he doesn't care. There are also several arguments where they stop trying to understand each other and instead focus on what frustrates them about the other person. These are examples of disconfirming messages because Joel and Clementine begin making each other feel misunderstood and unappreciated.
One of the most emotional parts of the movie happens when Joel's memory erasing happens during Joel's memory erasing procedure. As his memories begin disappearing, he realizes that even the painful memories are worth keeping because they remind him of how much the relationship meant to him. He even tries hiding Clementine inside childhood memories to stop from disappearing. To us, this shows that what mattered most wasn't the relationship. Was not that the relationship was perfect or just utopian. It was the emotional connection that they built together. The movie's words, the book's idea, the overall communication climate of a relationship has a huge impact on how people remember and value the relationship.
Our second concept is partners' conflict styles. According to the book, which discusses John Gottman's research, couples generally handle conflicts in one of three ways: volatile, avoidant, or validating. Volatile partners express their emotions openly and argue passionately. Avoidant partners try to stay away from the conflict and often keeps their feelings to themselves. Validating partners work through disagreements calmly but by listening to each other and trying to find solutions together. The textbook explains that while all three styles can appear in a healthy relationships, validating communication usually leads to the best long-term outcome because both partners feel heard and respected.
Joe mostly shows an avoidant conflict style. Whenever something's wrong, he tends to keep his feelings inside of him instead of talking about it. This is mostly because of his shyness personality. For example, when Clementine asks him what's bothering him, he often gives short answers or stay quiet instead of explaining how he feels or sharing his true emotions. Instead of solving the problem early, he just let them build up over time until the problem become way much bigger. And that's exactly what the book describes as an avoidant conflict style.
Clementine is almost the opposite. She shows many characteristics of a volatile conflict style because she expresses her emotions immediately and expects Joel to do the same. When she feels ignored or disconnected, she confronts him directly. For example, when she feels that Joel has become emotionally distant, she doesn't hide her frustrations. She tells him exactly how she feels and wants immediate response. She also makes the impulsive decision to erase Joel from her memory instead of working through the pain after the breakup.
Because Joel and Clementine deal with conflict so differently, they get stuck in the same cycle over and over again. Joel avoids difficult conversations because they make him uncomfortable. Clementine becomes more emotional because she feels like Joel is not listening to her. The more Joel pulls away, the more frustrated Clementine becomes. And the more frustrated Clementine becomes, the more Joel shuts out. Instead of working together the way validating partners would, they continue repeating the same unhealthy communication patterns until the relationship falls apart. This is where our own analysis come in. We don't think the movie is saying Joel and Clementine were never meant to be together. In fact, their differences are part of what made them fall in love in the first place. Joel admired Clementine's energy and spontaneity because she brought excitement into his life. Clementine liked Joel because he made her feel calm and grounded. The problem wasn't that they were too different. The problem was how they never learned how to communicate through those differences and they keep repeating the cycle.
The ending of the movie supports this idea. After both of them erase their memories, they meet again and eventually hear recordings describing everything they disliked about one another. Even after hearing all those flaws, they decide to try again. To us, that's the movie's way of relationships saying that relationships aren't doomed because people have problems. They're more likely to fail when people stop communicating honestly and stop working through conflicts together.
When we put these two concepts together, we get a much better understanding of Joel and Clementine's relationship. Communication climate helps explain how the emotional tone of their relationship change over time. Complex styles explain why those problems keep getting worse instead of being solved. And together, these concepts show that healthy relationships need both emotional support and healthy ways of handling disagreements.
One of the biggest lessons from the movie is that conflict isn't something people should avoid. Every relationship has disagreements. What matters is how those disagreements are handled. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations or reacting emotionally without listening, healthy relationships require honesty, respect, vulnerability, and a willingness to work through problems together. Those lessons don't just apply to romantic relationships, they're just as important in friendship, families, and even the workplace.
Oh, in conclusion, Journal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a great example of interpersonal communication. Through communication climate and confirming messages, we see how supportive communication brings Joel and Clementine together, while negativity and negative communication slowly push them apart. Through partners' conflict styles, we see how the way people handle disagreements can either strengthen or weaken a relationship.
In the end, the movie reminds us that relationships aren't built only on love or shared memories. They're built through communication, being honest, listening to each other, and making the other person feel valued, and working through the conflicts are what help relationships grow and last. Thank you for listening.